January 30th, 1943. Skies over the Bay of Biscay. Off the western coast of France, low cloud hangs like wet wool, dragging shadows across the steel-grey sea. The wind smells of salt and fuel. Somewhere below, a German warship cuts a deliberate line through the water. Its deck crew's unaware that anything more dangerous than patrol. Aircraft could reach them today at 200 feet above the waves. Something unexpected appears. It is not metal. It does not gleam. It does not roar like a heavy bomber. It is wood, plywood, skin. Spruce frame. Fabric control surfaces humming under strain. The De Havilland Mosquito skims the surface of the sea like a thrown stone. Its twin Rolls-Royce Merlin engines pushed hard, faster than most fighters. Lower than doctrine allows. In the cockpit sits Flight Lieutenant Johnny Walker, Royal Air Force Coastal Command. His gloves are damp with sweat. The canopy vibrates. The altimeter needle barely moves. There is no room for error here. At this altitude, a second of hesitation means water. A second too late means flak. Behind him, Navigator Flying Officer Alan Hughes leans over his charts, then looks up. He does not speak. He does not need to. The target is already in sight. Below them, the German ship cuts through the swell, long and lean, armed and alert. A Kriegsmarine escort vessel tasked with guarding Atlantic routes from Allied aircraft and submarines. Anti-aircraft guns line its deck. Crews move with routine confidence. They have faced bombers before. Big, slow, predictable bombers. This is not that. The Mosquito was never supposed to exist. When it was proposed in 1938, senior RAF officers laughed openly. A bomber without defensive guns. A combat aircraft made of wood in an age of steel and aluminum. An idea that sounded like desperation dressed as innovation. Germany, with its metal fighters and armored bombers, scoffed even harder. Wood burns, wood splinters, wood dies. But the Mosquito did not burn. It outran fighters. It climbed faster than interceptors. And today, it hunts ships. Walker's eyes lock on the vessel. He can see individual sailors now. He can see the gun crews turning their heads, confusion flickering into alarm. Too late, the Mosquito drops even lower. Spray kicks up behind the wings. The engines scream. The wooden airframe flexes, but holds. Built by cabinet makers and piano craftsmen who understood stress in their bones. German gunners scramble. The first bursts of flak tear upward, black puffs blossoming in the air behind the aircraft. Too high, too slow. This thing is moving at over 380 miles per hour. Walker lines up his approach. The Mosquito is armed not with bombs today, but with rockets slung under its wings. Solid shot, armor-piercing warheads designed to punch into steel before detonating. The Germans never believed a wooden aircraft could carry such teeth at 800 yards. Walker steadies the nose. The ship begins evasive maneuvers, turning hard, trying to bring more guns to bear. Tracer fire streaks past the cockpit, orange and red lines snapping through the air. The noise is overwhelming. Engines, gunfire, wind. Then Walker fires. White smoke trails leap from the Mosquito's wings as rockets streak downward. One slams into the ship's hull just above the waterline. Another punches into the deck near the forward gun mount. Steel folds inward. Fire erupts. The third rocket disappears beneath the surface, detonating against the hull, with a concussion that lifts the ship visibly from the water. The wooden plane screams overhead and vanishes past the mast. On deck, German sailors are thrown off their feet. Flames lick upward. Ammunition cooks off. A secondary explosion tears through the midsection of the ship, smoke billowing thick and black into the sky. The vessel lists. Water pours through ruptured plating. Orders are shouted. Damage control teams rush forward, then vanish behind smoke and fire. Above them, the Mosquito banks hard, climbing at an angle that should be impossible for a bomber. Flak follows, frantic now, inaccurate. Hughes looks back. The ship is dying within minutes. The German warship slows, then stops entirely. Flames consume the deck. The list worsens. The sea claims what steel could not save. A wooden aircraft has just sunk a German warship, back at base later that day. Mechanics inspect the Mosquito. Bullet holes pepper the fuselage. One round grazed a wing spar. Another tore through the tail assembly. None struck anything vital. The aircraft is still flyable. Walker removes his helmet and sits quietly on the wing root, staring at nothing. He does not smile. He does not celebrate. He knows what this means. The joke is over. The wooden plane is no longer a curiosity, no longer a gamble, no longer a punchline whispered in briefing rooms. It is a hunter now, and somewhere in Germany. Officers will read the report twice, then a third time, struggling to understand how a machine they dismissed as fragile has just rewritten the rules of naval warfare. The disbelief does not end at the German command desks. It begins much earlier, years before that warship ever takes on water. London, 1938. Inside the Air Ministry, blueprints are unrolled across polished tables. Officers lean back in their chairs, arms crossed, expressions already decided. British De Havilland stands at the front of the room, calm, measured, surrounded by paper that represents his future and possibly his company's end. A bomber made of wood, no defensive guns, relying on speed alone. The room reacts exactly as expected. Wood is for furniture, for training aircraft, for gliders, not for frontline combat, not for machines expected to survive flak, fighters, and storms of steel. Aluminum is modern. Armor is safety. Guns are security. Someone laughs quietly. Another officer asks, bluntly, how long such an aircraft would last against German fighters. De Havilland does not argue emotionally. He explains, wood is lighter. Wood absorbs vibration. Wood does not create the same radar signature. Woodworking skills are abundant in Britain. Piano makers, cabinet builders, furniture craftsmen untouched by aircraft production. Bottleneck speed will be its armor. The response is polite dismissal. Britain wants heavy bombers, flying fortresses, aircraft bristling with machine guns, carrying crews of 7 or more. Anything else feels reckless, but the war arrives faster than certainty. By 1940, Britain is desperate. Aluminum is scarce. Factories are stretched thin. Losses are heavy. The Air Ministry revisits ideas it once ignored. De Havilland is called back. This time, the laughter is quieter. The prototype flies in November 1940. When it lifts off the runway, even skeptics feel something shift. It climbs faster than expected. It handles cleanly. It is fast. Faster than fighters already in service. Test pilots push it harder. They report the same thing again and again. Nothing can catch it. Still, resistance remains. The idea of sending crews into combat without defensive guns feels wrong, unethical, dangerous. Then Germany begins intercepting bombers with ruthless efficiency. Losses climb, and suddenly, a fast aircraft that does not get hit at all sounds less insane. The Mosquito enters service quietly. No parade, no grand announcement, just assignments that grow more dangerous with every success. Photo reconnaissance first, then precision bombing, then night fighting, and finally anti-shipping strikes. German naval doctrine relies on layered defense, early warning, heavy guns, interceptors. It works against predictable threats. The Mosquito refuses to be predictable. It arrives low. It arrives fast. It arrives without warning. And by the time German gunners understand what they are seeing, it is already gone. Reports stack up. Wooden aircraft outruns fighters. Wooden aircraft survives flak. Wooden aircraft destroys targets thought safe. In Germany, engineers study wreckage fragments recovered from downed Mosquitoes. They run their hands over splintered wood, trying to reconcile material science with battlefield reality. They find glue stronger than steel joints, laminated layers that distribute stress instead of shattering, a structure that flexes rather than fractures. It makes no sense to doctrine on the Atlantic coast. Ship captains receive new warnings. Low-flying aircraft, extreme speed, no time to react. Some do not believe it until they see it. The Mosquito crews adapt quickly. They learn angles, timing, the precise moment when flak fire lags behind speed. They fly so low that waves splash against their fuel, so low that gunners hesitate, afraid of hitting their own ship. The wooden bomber becomes a ghost, and with each mission, confidence grows. Not arrogance, precision, calm. The knowledge that if flown correctly, the aircraft will bring them home. Back in Britain, attitudes shift quietly. Mechanics treat the Mosquito with care now. Commanders request it specifically. Pilots volunteer. The aircraft that was once mocked becomes something else entirely. Indispensable by early 1943, German warships are altering routes, hugging coastlines, increasing patrols. None of it is enough, because speed rewrites every rule, and wood, against all logic, becomes one of the most lethal materials in the sky. The laughter that once filled briefing rooms has evaporated. In its place is a new emotion, respect and fear. January 1943, the North Sea is iron grey, restless, rolling in long cold swells that slap against steel hulls with dull, rhythmic force. A German warship cuts through the water below, confident in its speed, confident in its guns, confident in doctrine that has worked before. Its crew scans the sky out of habit, not expectation. At this altitude, enemy aircraft should be visible minutes before they arrive. At this altitude, warning means survival. But this threat does not come from above. It comes from the horizon. A Mosquito skims the surface of the sea, so low that spray kisses its wooden belly. The engines scream, not straining, not desperate, but smooth and controlled. The aircraft feels alive, responsive, like it was built for this exact moment. Inside the cockpit, the pilot keeps his eyes locked forward. No wasted motion, no chatter. Beside him, the navigator watches the coastline slide past in a blur. Stopwatch, ticking, calculations already finished in his head. There will be no second pass. There never is. They are already inside the engagement zone before the warship understands what it is seeing. German lookouts shout. Alarms ring. Guns begin to traverse. But physics is cruel. Heavy naval cannons are not meant to track something moving this fast, this low. Machine guns open fire late, tracers slicing empty air behind the Mosquito's tail. The aircraft does not climb, it accelerates at this speed. Altitude is death. Staying low keeps them beneath the gun arcs, beneath expectations, beneath fear itself. The wooden airframe vibrates, not violently, but with purpose. Every rivetless joint holds. Every laminated panel does its job. The pilot lines up, the attack run with surgical precision. The warship grows larger in the windscreen. Details sharpen. Deck crew scatter. Anti-aircraft fire intensifies, but it is fragmented, panicked, reactive. This is where conventional bombers die. The Mosquito does not slow at the last possible second. The aircraft releases its payload. Bombs skip across the water like thrown stones, timed fuses ticking invisibly. The Mosquito roars overhead, clearing the masts by yards, engines howling as it pulls away in a shallow climb. Seconds later, the sea erupts. Explosions punch into the hole below the waterline, where armor is weakest, where damage control struggles to respond. Steel buckles. Compartments flood. The ship lists, alarms, screaming now not in warning, but in desperation. From the Mosquito's cockpit, the crew does not turn to look. They do not need to. The shockwave reaches them anyway, a dull thump carried through the air. The navigator exhales for the first time since the run began. Behind them, the warship is dying. German gunners fire until the aircraft is gone, until it vanishes into cloud and distance, until reality sets in. The attack lasted seconds. Defense doctrine demanded minutes. On board the stricken ship, damage control teams fight flooding they cannot contain. Pumps fail, compartments sealed too late. Fire spreads through cable runs. Orders are shouted, then repeated, then abandoned. A wooden plane has done what heavier aircraft could not. It has struck where steel believed itself safe. Hours later, reconnaissance confirms it. The warship is crippled. Depending on the strike, some sink outright. Others limp back to port, only to be declared total losses. German command reacts sharply. Patrol patterns change. Additional flak is mounted. Fighter cover is increased. It changes nothing. The Mosquito is already gone. Back in Britain, reports are brief, almost understated. Mission success. Target damaged or destroyed. Aircraft returned safely. No mention of disbelief. No mention of mockery. The wooden plane has crossed a line. It is no longer experimental. It is no longer unusual. It is feared. Pilots flying other aircraft hear the stories and shake their heads. Speed that low. Attacks that precise. Survival rates that defy statistics. The Mosquito crews simply prepare for the next mission. They clean salt spray from the fuselage, inspect wooden panels for stress, check glue joints that hold better than metal ever could. The aircraft is ready again in hours, and somewhere across occupied Europe. German commanders mark maps, adjust defenses, and quietly acknowledge something they never wanted to admit. They laughed at the wooden plane, and it is sinking their ships. Mid-1943, the North Sea routes grow quieter. Not because the war is ending, but because something unseen has changed the balance. German ships now move with caution, hugging coastlines, delaying departures, waiting for darkness. The confidence that once ruled these waters has thinned, replaced by hesitation, and the reason is not a fleet. It is a sound, a distant, unfamiliar engine note that arrives too fast to track and too low to escape. The Mosquito. German crews now know what it means when lookouts shout to late. They know that if the aircraft is already visible, the attack is already happening. Guns swing wildly. Flak bursts bloom uselessly behind it. Fighters scramble only to find empty sky. The wooden plane has become a ghost. On one final mission that summer, a German warship sits anchored near a fortified harbor, confident in its layered defenses. Radar stations are active. Anti-aircraft crews are alert. Fighters stand ready on nearby airfields. On paper, this target should survive. It does not. The Mosquito arrives beneath the radar screen. Slipping through the blind zone engineers never imagined a bomber would use. It runs in low, engine steady, wooden frame slicing the air without vibration. The pilot commits early. No evasive maneuvers. No hesitation. Bombs release. They skip once, twice. Then the sea explodes. The detonation rips open the hull along the waterline. Compartments flood instantly. Power fails. Fire spreads through cable shafts. Damage control teams fight, but the design of the ship works against them. Steel traps heat. Passageways become ovens within minutes. The order is given. Abandon ship. From a distance, the Mosquito crew watches the vessel list sharply. Smoke rises in a thick column, dark against the pale sky. The navigator marks the time. The pilot turns away. Their job is finished. Back at base, no one cheers. There is no celebration. The war is too heavy for that now. Ground crews simply begin refueling, inspecting, preparing the aircraft for another. The Mosquito does not rest, and neither do the men who depend on it. By the end of the war, historians will count numbers. Ships sunk, targets destroyed, missions flown. They will argue about ethics, materials, and design philosophies, but none of that captures the moment when the laughter stopped, when steel realized it could be beaten by wood. When a plane dismissed as a joke rewrote naval warfare. The Mosquito did not win the war alone, but it shattered assumptions that had governed it for years. It proved that speed could replace armor, that intelligence could overpower mass, that innovation did not need permission. They laughed at his wooden plane until it sank a German warship